Welcome. So my name's Mark Chesory. I am a business development manager here at eSkilled. I work mainly with student and learning management systems, but have been in the RTO space for some time. So I think got a good range of experience there. So hopefully that'll help in this presentation. So the plan for today is to go through what is AI Course Creator, how does it work. We'll do a practical demonstration. I'll actually generate a course and then sort of show you some of the ways we can edit it and use AI to edit it as well. And then, how it would share to your, learning management system if you have one. This is producing the content and a small formative quizzes. In a SCORM output. So I'll explain that in a minute. I'll also show you some themes and how you can, edit your themes and make your presentations look really great. And then of course, how much does it cost? So I'm using an old presentation. So what is AI Course Creator? So we're going to create e-learning files. It's an authoring tool. Now, those who haven't created courses before, you will need a learning management system to know what students are doing, right? So this is creating the courses, and then there'll be a file for the course, and then you have to upload it into some sort of learning management system to know what your students are doing, right? If you don't do that, obviously, how are you meant to know who's done it and whether you should give them a certificate, whatever. So it's something to note. It's really easy to use. So after this, you should be able to have a play and create your own courses, which is really good. It's AI. We've got AI assisted editing as well, so it's not just creating the content using the AI. It's editing as well, and even regenerating and duplicating and doing all sorts of things that you can create. And it has rich media, so it can be quite engaging and interactive. And it can integrate with pretty much any LMS on the market. Anything that has a SCORM upload or an LTI compatibility, and I'll explain all this a bit later. So how does it work and how are we different? So we've, before this, eSkilled we've created resources and we're student learning management systems. So we have a team of instructional designers that have built e-learning files using all different products. So we used our instructional design team, our AI experts, and we sort of brought a group of people together with the experience of what we've done in the past, including resource generation, and brought them together. So it's a more it works better for creating courses. We use the tell, show, do methodology. So what that means is we provide the content. The AI will generate the content for you. It will provide practical examples, case studies, and scenarios, which is what you need, especially in the accredited space. And it will give some sort of formative quiz. So that's the do. That's the do. So explain the content, some sort of example of what's been done, and a quiz. So very, very simple, speeds up, makes it really quick to produce courses up to 100 times faster than you've created before, which is just revolutionary. Um, and the last thing is it produces an interactive SCORM output, right? So anyone that's used an LMS before will know that most LMS systems have a SCORM uploader. You'll be able to utilize that to upload your courses into your LMS, no matter what, pretty much any LMS that you use. And if you need an LMS, obviously we have that too, but we're not going into that today. So reach out if you need that as well. So let's do a demo. Um, so firstly, what I wanted to sort of show you, very simple editor. You can jump into things like creating themes, and I'll do this later. These are your courses you've already created. You can generate categories, which is a better way to, organize your outputs. There's settings and tutorials here as well. But what we're going to do is create a course. So when I hit create course, it'll bring me into this first step, right? So what we're doing is prompting an AI tool to help create a course. So what we've done in the background is helped to understand how people use general language to ask for a particular course. And we've gone and created a series of prompts that will help you create a course much simpler than trying to use AI to do it in the real world, right? So firstly, you put in the first couple of things you do, describe, so course name, obviously, describe your course audience. So I've done this, you can put in your employment, you can put in what it's part of. I like to put in the qualification that they're training, if it is a qualification. Now, remembering this doesn't have to be accredited learning. So I've done an accredited course because last time I did this, the majority of people were from an accredited background and I didn't do an accredited course. So I thought this time I'll do an accredited course. But bearing in mind, you can just type in general language in any of these prompts. You don't have to add in anything. I even get some of my clients will use like ChatGPT to generate the prompts um, as to generate the as well as using this AI. So you can use multiple ways of generating bits of things that are going to help you with the prompts. Hopefully that makes sense. So describe your audience. AQF levels are good here too. You can put in, employment. You can put in. I've put in lower socioeconomic backgrounds, like whatever is going to help. Um, yeah, try and be very granular with that because I think that's going to really guide your course a lot. Describe your course in detail. This is where I've put in my unit code here, and I've put in a unit code and name. That's going to help me understand that the AI is going to then go, oh, okay, this is part of an accredited course in Australia. Again, doesn't have to be accredited, but you can just populate that with general language as well. I've put in concentrate and apply to a sports setting. I think that's pretty handy. I mean, obviously, this is a unit that I just downloaded this morning, so I um, don't really know much about it. So we'll see what it generates. So the next step here is course creation type. Now, you wouldn't see this if you've done the trial already or started trying to use the trial. You wouldn't have seen this course creation type yet. It's not released. It's going to be released in the next week or so. Um, we want to make sure it's right before we do it. Most people will use creative anyway. So creative is what it comes with prior to the new update. But we've got another option here, document conversion. So if you've got, say, a learner guide or something, you'll be able to use the AI to structure it rather than to generate the text. So the AI is going to then go structuring an e-learning course using the learner guide that it's got with that text. Um, so it's going to be able to pull the data in. But for now, if I'm just going to use a creative because I think that gives you a better, well, it helps you generate the AI, which is 90% of the work. So it's a really great thing here. The next thing here is curriculum or reference documents. Really, this is probably, I would say, the most important thing here. Now, you can only upload PDF documents here. We haven't got audio upload or video upload as yet, but you'll find that most things you can generate text on and print to PDF. So if you need to use a video, you can get the text from the video and upload it as a PDF in here as well. I would recommend using even again ChatGPT or other AI programs to generate some stuff to put in here because you can attach units of competency. I've actually already attached the unit for this course. Um, Learner guides, curriculum documents, industry specific standards, legislation, laws. I would use all of it because the more you can get into that section, the better the output's going to be, right? That being said, there is a limitation. You can only add across all your documents that you attach. you can only add up to 500,000 characters. So approximately about 25 pages of text, depending on the size of the text, of course, approximately that. So just use it more for the structure of the course rather than the content itself. That's something to know. Unless, of course, you're doing the document conversion, in which case you're using the course itself. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, step two is probably the most crucial step here, outside of adding documents. This allows us to add the context of this course, right? So, firstly, how much text do you need? For an accredited unit, I always go comprehensive, but if you're doing non-accredited, it really just does depend on how you're delivering any number of things. But comprehensive is going to give you quite a lot of text, which is a good thing, for accredited unit competency. Reading levels, so it goes from 5-year-old all the way up to university graduate. I would probably stick to dropping it one level or even two if for age levels. So, it's always good to have lower language if you can. So, fairly difficult standard if you're dealing with adults. Depending, because I've done lower socioeconomic, I'm going to do standard here. Now, language, up to 96 different languages. And what it's doing is generating in that language. It's not converting, it's not translating, except for when I've uploaded the unit of competency. Of course, it's going to use that as the titles for all the elements and performance criteria. So it may translate, or you may have to translate the titles. But outside of that, it's generating the text in that language. Right? So very, very important thing. Next thing, tone of voice, casual, professional, funny, dramatic, excited. I like encouraging. That's my favorite, but lots of options on how you're presenting. Excuse me. And big attached to the language there, we've got country context. Very important. It's not just about language. It's about case studies, and it's about industry, and it's about, so like, I don't know whether you've ever prompted ChatGPT and asked it to produce a company. Of course, it's going to produce things like Walmart or their version of Target, right? So one thing to note here is country context is very, very important, because otherwise people aren't going to understand what you're discussing. It's a very important part of what we're doing. It'll even know what's important to that country. For instance, I did a course for New Zealand retail workers, a non-accredited course, and what I did was provide a retail course, and it brought back cultural greetings, which is something very important to New Zealand culture. So something to note. It's good at understanding that. The next thing is other contextual considerations. Again, this is a very important part of what we're doing here. You can put in industry context. You can put in local, state, regional context. You can put in cultural, social, economic, political. It's very, very important parts. Now, this is going to do a lot in regards to case studies. So it's going to understand this information with regard to case studies. Because if you're producing, I think one of the big ways that you're going to, sorry, Alanan, I will get to that question in 1 second. One of the big important things about delivering content is contextualization. So if you have a course and you've purchased content for a course, for instance, um, it's not going to understand your context or your industry that you're delivering to. I think the best example is we have business courses, right? Business courses can be in any industry. So if you're delivering in more of a mining context, you want a mining. Um, you don't want bounce fitness as your course, right? So this is a way to produce it with a really important industry background. So yeah, very, very important part of what we're doing. I'm not going to prompt it. You'll notice that it's going to do a very good job anyway. It'll do a much better job if you put in the text. Actually, what I might do is just go Queensland. Actually, no, maybe Victorian. Hmm, Victoria. Um, with a sports, nutrition. Oh, horrible spelling here. Nutrition. Okay, studies. Next step is how does the course look, right? So, categorizing it's really important. I'm going to put it in health. Topic navigation, free or linear. So what that means is, do I want to progress in an order? So it'll just do the first topic, and once they've completed the first topic, it'll open the second topic, and so on and so forth. Or that's the linear navigation. Or free is just, I can jump into any uh, any section. So I'm going to do free for this case so that we can actually see the content. Add learning objectives. So this is sort of a title page, sort of gives you one sentence on each topic. Include case studies. I'm going to tick that to yes. And the last thing I'm going to do is a theme. So you can customize your own themes, and we'll go into that while we're waiting for the course to generate. Let's see, what have we got? Let's do this one. Squad, that looks good. Hopefully we've got some good text in there. I'll show you what I mean by that. And the last step here is quiz settings. So do you want a quiz or do you not? If you do want a quiz, do you want both single, multiple choice answers, or true or false, or both? There's also two other question types that you add in manually, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And then do you want to set a maximum number of quiz questions? Let's say 5. Good. And then quiz question type, navigation type. Do I need to require a correct answer to progress? So do you want 100% before they pass, or do you want to see a result? So do I want to allow progression on the wrong answer? That's what I'm going to do. And require quiz attempt for course completion. I think that's an important part of what we do. Now, at this point here, you can create the outline manually if you want. So you could type in topics and subtopics if you want. I don't think that's a required thing. I think it's important to generate via AI, right? Because you can always edit. So I would generate it first and then go, what do I need? So we're going to do that. It takes about 10 to 20 seconds. The eBot's got he's painting his little masterpiece, which is very, very cute. He's got his paintbrush out. And he'll do that. It won't take no more than 20 seconds generally, probably less. Do it. Oh, there we go. Already done. Putting final touches on. Success. All right. So at this point, it brings you into your topics and subtopics. Now I've done comprehensive, so you can see it's quite complex. And because I put in the unit of competency, it's going to put in all the topics and subtopics. So this course is going to take a while to produce because there's probably more than 20 topics in here. Something to note here, the more comprehensive, obviously, the longer it would take. And that's, no more than, say, 15 minutes. But that'll give us time to go in and do the other things that we want to do. So let's do that. So I'm going to hit quick generate via AI. You can add in your own subtopics, add in your topics. You can move topics around, delete topics that are not important. I'm going to hit this. Yes. So it's going to, how many topics did we produce in the end? 31. Okay, so this is going to take a little while to produce. Apologies for that, guys, because there's quite a few topics. Any more than 20, and it'll take about 10, anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes. So we'll see. So here's one I prepared. I thought I would show you one I've done earlier. So actually, what I might do is refresh the page. So this is an example of something that's been done. Apply critical thinking in work practices. So you'll note that it's quite themey. This one's a weird looking theme there. Start course might be better theme for children, I think. That's right. Identify critical thinking concepts. So you can see it's doing text to audio transcribe. It's got hotspots. It's got flip cards. Really nice looking designs. There's even like accordions, there's videos, you can upload videos. It's important to note that the 15 minutes it's going to take to generate stuff is going to be mainly text. There's going to be maybe some tables, text, and other things. Oh, sorry, I should have got back to Eleanor's question. Ellen's asked, is it possible to convert the course to another language after being developed in English? That's a very good question, Ellen. The answer is yes, but it is generating again to do that. So what you do is you duplicate the course, you edit your course context, right? You can jump in and edit that. I'll show you that in a minute. And you hit regenerate essentially to generate it in the other language. And because it's generating in the other language, it's not going to be translated. It's not going to be the exact same text. It's going to be similar, but not the same. Right? But that's good. That's a good thing, I would say, because it's going to be different. Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you how to do it in a minute when we get to showing you how things work. There's things like hotspots here, so really nice looking designs. And also, you'll notice like if we brought in the Australian bushfires, like that's a real Australian case study, right? Like, so something really important to know. I mean, you will get hallucinations. You can't just rely on the content to be perfect. It is AI generated, right? But it's going to get you about 90% of the way there, to the point where I have a client who's produced 245 units of competency in 5 weeks. Of course, that's not fully fixed up and nice looking, but it is quite extraordinary to get to that point in in 5 weeks. So something to know. Accordions, yeah, that's a one that's already done. So once it's done, once it's got to that 31 topics, see where we're at actually. We're up to 10. Oh, we're getting there. Um, it then brings you into this editor, right? Now, when it brings you in the editor, you'll probably see mainly text here, right? But the idea is that we're gonna then edit it. So I can then jump in, grab bits of text, right? I can then use AI again to regenerate it. Maybe I want to expand that text, summarize, bullet point, summarize that text. Or maybe I want a text to speech. So our system will allow you to do text to speech. It's um, quite good, actually. I wonder if you guys can hear my sound. When I hit, hold on. I hope that you can hear the sound because that's an important part of this. But the text to audio is very good. So if I hit go on that, hopefully you can hear it. Hopefully you could hear that. No. Oh, okay, well, you'll have to trial it. Actually, well, it won't even do the text to audio for the trial. But one thing you'll note is that it is a very high quality audio, text to audio. It will it will know when to pause at the right moments. It's not monotone like it is with other generators. That being said, it is still AI, so there's some voices are more robotic than others. Um, but yeah, you'll find that there's quite a few nice looking voices there that'll help you be able to produce good, nice looking text audio. So sorry guys, I couldn't show you that part. Okay, and on the right hand side here, you've got all the interactions. This is where I'm going to add all my stuff. So maybe I want to add a video. If I add a video, I can go add video only and drag it in, and it will, give me a banner, and then I can go and add a video, right? So you're adding the interaction. So you're not being replaced altogether. I think some people think they're going to replace the instructional designers. You still need to design it. You still need to make it look nice. I think what it's doing is it's helping you produce things faster. I think that's probably the the key takeaway here. Um, and then when you've got them in there, it creates the video in. It will link it, or you can upload as well. Um, if I want to add interactions, maybe I want to add a hotspot. I can do that. Oh, I can do that. So to do that, add an image. If I'm adding an image, you can generate via AI, or you can browse the free image libraries that we have, which is probably where I would generally get you to do. Add in that. Adding in images is really quick and easy. And then I can go done. And now I want to add hotspots in these little in these in these um, things. So once I'm done, I hit done. live demos, okay. Um, um, hmm, oh, there we go. Finally, then you can see your hotspots. You can drag them around. You can edit them, add your text in. Um, you know, add multiple by. Oh, to add the multiple hotspots. Yeah. So that's how you would do that. Just adding activities is pretty easy structured. You'll figure it out if you have a play. There's also Accordions here as well. The AI assistant allows you to generate practical examples. You can add in your own manual quizzes, but it will generate quizzes for you for all your subtopics. Something to note. Yeah. And if I want to go add in those other question types, you can just do add new question, or you can edit your existing questions. Um, is this creator AI? Sorry, Jennifer has asked, is this creator AI also available to use in Rise 360? The answer is no. So the idea is this is going to replace Rise 360 to produce the course content for you. It has a very easy builder, so it's much easier to get your head around, and it's much more cost effective than that, especially with AI, than Rise 360. So something to note. If I want to add question types, matching, fill in the blanks, as well as true or false multiple choice. Okay, do you know when more or less will happen? I'm sorry, Jennifer's asked, okay, do you know when more or less will happen? That, I'm sorry, can you maybe reword that? I'm misunderstanding what you mean. It's not meant to be connected to Rise 360. Definitely not. It's meant to replace it. It's not meant to be. Does that make sense? Hopefully that answered your question. Okay, cool. Um, I think that was pretty much all I wanted to show you about that. I wanted to also go into the themes. Hold on, how are we going? Ooh, we're almost there. So themes. So we'll jump into themes. You can edit or create your own themes with all sorts of things. So I'll just jump into summer as an example, right? So firstly, you have a bunch of different theme styles. So you can play around with the styles. There's 6 different ones to choose from for now, and obviously that'll grow over time. And then, you'll have an image that you'll add to the cover page image here, the text for the cover page, the background. So you can really get granular in how you edit, edit this, even down to the gradient of the start button. All right. So something to know. Navigation menu settings, colors, fonts, um, even the hamburger menu, your backgrounds, um, you know, corner backgrounds, again, colors and fonts, topic heading settings. So the banner for the top, and the title fonts, your completion page and the text for your completion, even your individual banners. So underneath each section, you saw the video banner come up when I added the video banner. That would be this particular banner here. There's icons. You can add in the little icons on top of the text. You'll notice that's what happens there. And then your hotspot, how they look, what sort of icon you're using for a hotspot. And then flip card settings. So you can see how 2 and 3 columns works for flip cards. Next. And then table settings here. And I think the last thing is text. Padding. There's one more. Padding, and then all the different fonts and colors of the different texts that you're using. And then you save it. So that's how to do a theme. Do I have any questions on anything so far? I think I've probably gone through quite a lot. No? Let people ask the questions. No? Okay, cool. Oh, looks like we're done. probably thinking. No worries, Trisha. Okay. Oh, for some reason it stopped. Sorry. I think it's already done. Hopefully it hasn't missed any of the topics, so it didn't cut it out. All right. Oh, yeah, sorry. Tricia said, this is an amazing program. Thank you. Thank you for that. Sorry, Jennifer's asked, is there a demo I can use? Yes, there will be. Oh, let me get to that part. Yes, Jennifer, we will share the recording, so you don't have to worry about that. Yep. All right, so you can see here it's quite comprehensive in the amount of text that it can do. Right, this is obviously a comprehensive course. You can change that. You can see it's brought in the topics and subtopics as per the elements and performance criteria. So there's quite a lot of information in this course. Yeah, it's done it for all of it, which is really interesting. Using objective language. Okay, here we go. So you've got lots of different case studies and information. Case study, effective communication in sports. There we go. Inspirational quotes. So you can see it's pretty comprehensive. Now, you want, so you can go, so I think I was asked before about generating something and then creating in a different language. You can absolutely do that. So what you'll have to do is jump into course settings here. So that will take you back to your prompts that you've used. So you can edit those prompts, and then when you get to the end of editing the prompts, obviously it's just allowing me to save because I haven't changed anything, but if you go to change anything, it'll then get you to regenerate that course. As well. The other thing you can do is edit your topics mid-cycle. So when you go to edit your topics, it'll then get you to regenerate for that topic or all of them again. So test. If I go to save outline, it will then go, do I want to generate content or quizzes? So I'm going to, so that it's blank. Now, the reason why I've done that is because I want to generate using AI. So what I can do, if there's no text in a topic or subtopic, I can hit generate content, and it will actually generate the content for that that topic in general. Sorry, I was asked, will it have my logo on it or eSkilled logo? It will have your logo. So this is a builder, right? So you're not showing this to your your students anyway. Your themes are going to have all your logos in it, but yes, you can customize the corner logo because it'll be your portal. One thing to note here is it's using the AI, right? It's using an AI, mainly ChatGPT AI, but we use different ones. But it's encrypting the content to the ChatGPT, and it's encrypting it back. So it's not using it to train the model. You have to be very clear about that, because if you're using ChatGPT as in general, it's anything that you put in there is going to feed the model. So one thing to note is we use the API version, so that isn't the case. So that's something to note here. Hopefully, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to show there. The only last thing is there's a preview. If I want to preview this course, I can just go preview, and then it'll go open up a preview link. If I want to download the SCORM, I can do that. Now, anyone using Accelerate will need to use SCORM 204 4th edition and enable simple sequencing. That's something to note for those Accelerate clients. But everybody else, I would get you to use 1.2. Also, you can go into, when you're in your courses and you want to see how many generation credits it's used, you can do that by clicking the link here, clicking generation credits. So it's not used a whole lot. Interesting. Normally it would use quite a bit. That's probably deceptive. And then you can generate iFrame code. So that's where you can use HTML code to put it onto a website if you want. Of course, that's not going to show you progression or anything like that because they're previews. Oh, sorry. Joanne's asked, what do you mean by generation credits? I'm sure everyone wants to know that. I apologize. I'll show you that when I go through pricing. I'll explain that a little bit more. When you're using any AI, it will use generation credits to know how much you've used, basically, off the back. Hopefully that makes sense, but I'll explain it more in a bit. You can download SCORM here. You can duplicate. This is what I would get you to do if you're creating multiple courses or you're splitting a course, is duplicate it and then split it up. The other thing is it's got enable LTI. Now, LTI is learning. I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but it is a way to interoperability. So it's a way to connect learning management systems with content, basically. So if you have LTI in your LMS system, learning management system, you'll be able to use LTI to connect. That's something to note. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to show there. I'll just go into pricing in a minute. If anyone has any questions now, if I haven't gone through something, that'd be good. In the meanwhile, I'll bring up the pricing while I'm waiting. So, one thing to note here, if you go in the monthly subscription, you won't be able to download your SCORM files. That's something very important. SCORM output is probably the most, you probably want to use that for most LMS systems. So yeah, you might want to move to annual if you want to download SCORMs. So starting out $89 a month, that'll give you anywhere between 3 and 10 generations per month, depending on whether you're using the text to audio, because that uses a lot of credits, and a 50 course limit. So that's something that's probably your biggest thing here, is how many course limits and one course credits. That's one person creating, one user, essentially, one course person creating courses. 50 courses in total. So if you duplicate a course, you're not using AI to generate, you're not using any more generation credits, but you're using a course. We use a lesser, sorry, Eleanor has said, we use a lesser known LMS. How can I test what the SCORM file will look like? File will look like on the other end during a trial. Okay, so you can use the preview links. That's probably the best way to test how it would look. That being said, you'll find that SCORM is a pretty universal output, so it'll probably, you're not going to have an issue there. I'd be very surprised. If you do, you can contact the support team, and they're very good at and using that. Actually, that's something to note here. This little speech bubble thing is the support team, so you can just generate a ticket, and they'll be able to get back to you very quickly on that. So you'd be surprised the output, Eleanor. I would be if you had trouble with the SCORM file, I'd be very surprised. Most providers will use SCORM. The other thing I would say is maybe it might be time to change on their systems if it's not a well-known one or it's not well used. So I would say that. But anyway, see how you go with it, and let us know. No worries. Well, come see me. Sorry, Eleanor's just asked. Yeah, we are looking at that. So yeah, come see me because I'll show you a really cool LMS. Okay, so costings. So where was I? So I would recommend going to your Maximize especially if you're an RTO, because you're going to want more than 50 courses, I would say, because you'll probably want to duplicate it, create a few courses with different contexts, that sort of thing. So I would recommend Maximize. Now, if I move over to annual, you're going to save 2 months. So the 89 becomes $8.90 or $74 a month, but you'd have to pay that annual amount up front. I think, considering what it can do for your organization, I think that's very, very reasonable, and it's very competitive in the market. But it's also the best when it comes to creating content as well. Sorry, Joanne's asked, can you use this system to create assessments? Now, as I showed you before, it's going to create a quiz, a formative assessment, but it's not going to do your summative assessment. You're going to have to do that in your LMS at this stage. but yeah, it's sorry. She's also said it's a very good price. Yes, it is. I think it's definitely very competitive. I was surprised when my boss said how much it was going to cost. I was like, but it does all this stuff. Why are you charging more? But no, we want it to be competitive on the market. So it's going to be ubiquitous, I would say, in not too long a time. So there's so many people starting to use this system, and it's so fundamentally, it's changing the industry quite a lot. So um, I always just think of it this way. Imagine, and a lot of RTOs or training organizations will get requests to create content, even non-accredited content for a company. Imagine if you could say yes to that. Imagine if you could go back to them and say, yeah, I'll have it done in a week. It's amazing the the fundamental change in the way that the industry is working here. So very very cool, very cool. Yes. So that's the pricing. Um, sorry, Joanne said another question. Can I start on Maximize but decide 6 months we need more? The answer is yes. If you start wherever you want, you can upgrade and it will be pro rata. So it'll know what you've paid so far and how to get there. Of course, it's a monthly, no lock in contract when you do monthly. Or obviously annual, it's no lock in either. But something to note is that um, it'll start you if you go from monthly to annual, it will start to um, it'll pay you, it'll only charge for that month. It'll only pro rata for that month because it's then going to be 1 year from there. So that's something to know. Yeah, hopefully that answered your question, Wade. Can you go from monthly to yearly? And that's yes. That was pretty much it. If you have any last final questions, happy to answer them. Now, you'll get an email after this with the recording. I think it'll be a 20, 12 hours or 24 hours or something before you receive it, but you'll get an email with a trial link and a recording of the session as well. Yes, sorry, the free trial is 14 days, um, and that will give you 2 free courses. Something to note. But it won't allow you to do text to audio or download SCORM for obvious reasons. Um, no worries. Any final questions before we finish up? No, thank you. All good, all good. Just FYI on your end. Oh, inquire for pricing box. Okay. I tell you what, if you just reply back to the email, we'll be able to sort you out. Okay. You'll get an email, we'll sort you out. So apologies if currently the inquiry box is not quite working. So apologies, guys. Okay. Um, do you just host or create? Do you host? Yeah, sorry. Kamel, Kamela, I think Kamela has just asked, do you host or create? So it's just creating the content, right? It's not hosting it. You would have to host it in a learning management system generally. Or you can use preview links, of course, but of course, then you don't know when there's progression. So it is something to note. You need a separate LMS system to deal with this. If you need one, we have one here at eSkilled. So we're happy to show you our LMS system as well. Um, submit button is grayed out. I'm sorry, Ellen, and it seems like there's some trouble with the website at the moment. So apologies for that. I will get right on to that and make sure that it's sorted. You'll receive a trial link though, so you'll be able to do it. Okay. Sorry, Ellen. Maybe refresh your screen. It might work after that. See how that goes. How much is our LMS? Camille said. That'll depend on how many learners you got through it. So we'll go through that in a separate meeting, Camilla. Just reach out and happy to do a meeting for that. Joanne's asked, can more than one person use the trial link? Yes. You can. Obviously, it'll ask you to put in a credit card. but you can also then straight away go in and turn it off if you don't want to actually be charged ever. That's something to note. Can more than one person? Yeah. So if you go into a maximized package, you'll have 2 users. So yeah, that'll be the answer to that one as well. Good. Yeah. Okay. I think that's pretty much answered all the questions, which is awesome to note. I think there's a lot of people watching the recording after. I think there was 200 and something registrants. So I think it's a horrible time for some people, I guess. So apologies for that. But yeah, feel free to have a play and let us know your feedback. This has been going for something like 8 months now, so it took us about 12 months to the generate it. Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, Wade, apologies. I did say I was going to talk about the hour generation credits. Apologies. So each package has an amount of generation credits you can use each month, right? So it'll reset every month. You can use that up to that amount every month, and then you can also then pay for extra credits. So each time you generate using the AI, it'll use credits, and so you can go in and see how many generation credits you've used in each you know, amount. If that makes sense, Wade. Hopefully that answers that question. If you have any further, just let us know. I can always talk you through it later, Wade, if you need it. Show us. Oh, sorry, I did. So if you jump into the courses, you can see how many generation credits you've used. Uh, generation credits used, and that you can see there's prompt tokens and total tokens. I actually think this has been a mistake. I don't think that's correct. Normally, it's about 200,000 generation credits for a comprehensive course. Maybe it's AI is getting better. What are the different tokens? So when you're using generation credits, it has prompt tokens and it has completion tokens. So prompt tokens is when you prompt the AI, so it's whatever you've used to prompt it, and completion tokens are the text that it uses, and then it calculates the total tokens. Total tokens is how many generation credits you've used, right? Does that hopefully that makes more sense? Sorry, Wade, I didn't explain that very clearly. Hopefully that is more clear now. I think so. Oh, so when you use the AI and you prompt it, the AI uses the prompt tokens. The prompt tokens are then used to generate the completion tokens. So you use both prompt tokens and completion tokens, and that is your total tokens used. And then that forms part of the cost of what you pay. So each month you get 1,750,000 AI generation credits, right? Each month. So that means that if so how many tokens you've used in total will be how many generation credits you've used each month. Okay, so it's a one-to-one. So I think the wording is probably confusing there, but it's all generation credit is what it means. All right. So yeah, if you'll determine it if you start to play around with it, you'll see how many you use and you'll determine. um, How does it determine the number of tokens with what you input? So when you prompt, the more prompts that you have, the more credits it uses, right? The more, if you've added lots of documents and you've added lots of prompts and lots of text in your prompts, it's going to use more tokens for prompting, right? So does that make sense? Is that more clear, Wade? Okay. All right. Well, if you have any questions, trial it, have a play, and then come back to me with the questions, and I'm more than happy to talk you through it in a bit more detail, Wade. So happy to help with that. And if anyone else has any issue with that, I apologize again for not being clear there.